What secret lets a hidden army of bees thrive in the darkness of ancient forests while the world thinks they live only in man-made hives? Deep within a towering beech, a woodpecker has carved a cavity so precise it could be a secret doorway to another world. Inside that hollow, the air hums with 1,000 tiny wings, and a queen with an elongated abdomen reigns over a kingdom that has escaped the eyes of farmers, scientists, and even most hikers. The story begins in the primeval woods of Central Europe, where the original dark honeybee once ruled the canopy. Those bees were darker than the shadows they inhabited, their bodies adapted to the low light of deep tree holes. Over centuries, the forest lost them, replaced by domesticated colonies that never learned the art of living high above the ground. Yet, in a single centuries-old woodpecker hole, a living relic has resurfaced, reminding us that nature never truly lets go. The cavity is not just a shelter, it is a bustling metropolis of wax and honey. Workers glide along the walls, their legs loaded with pollen sacs that look like tiny saddlebags. The queen, the heart of the hive, lays a single egg in each brood cell, her life a continuous loop of reproduction that lasts a full year, while the workers live only for the season. From egg to larva, from capped cell to emerging adult, the transformation takes exactly 12 days, a race against time that fuels the colony's endless growth. When spring whispers through the leaves, the forest offers little in the way of nectar. Hazel catkins sway in the breeze, releasing clouds of wind-pollinated pollen. The bees, however, have learned to harvest that protein-rich bounty without helping the plant reproduce. They brush the pollen into their rear leg pouches, fly back to the hive, and deposit it into special cells where it is pressed into compact loaves. This pollen becomes the main food for the winter bees, those long-lived workers that will survive the cold months ahead. But the hive is not an isolated fortress. It shares its home with a chorus of forest neighbors. Great spotted woodpeckers, the original architects, return each year to widen the entrance, never suspecting that their handiwork now shelters a buzzing army. Stock doves settle in abandoned chambers, their soft coos echoing through the timber. A nuthatch once claimed a neighboring hole, sealing it with drying mud to keep rivals out, sparking a brief but fierce clash between bird and bee. Even nocturnal bats hang from the ceiling, their wings brushing the honeycomb as if to remind the insects that they are not alone in this vertical world. The conflict deepens when unseen enemies slip through the waxy walls. Varroa mites, tiny parasitic arachnids, infiltrate brood cells, feeding on developing larvae and weakening the colony from within. Sudden winter storms melt stored honey, leaving the hive exposed to starvation. And the shadow of human history looms large. In the 1970s, systematic eradication campaigns aimed at protecting commercial beekeeping wiped out the last fully wild colonies in Germany, driving the original dark bee to extinction. Yet the story does not end in defeat. Escaped domesticated swarms, driven by instinct, have repeatedly found their way back to these ancient cavities. Their genetics carry a memory, a built-in compass that guides them to woodpecker holes high in the canopy. When a new swarm arrives, the veteran foragers perform a flawless waggle dance, pointing their sisters toward the same hazel catkins and lime tree sap that fed their ancestors centuries ago. The secret, it seems, lies in a blend of innate navigation, communal memory, and a partnership with the forest's own carpenters. If this is blowing your mind, smash that like button and let me know in the comments which bee fact surprised you the most. The honey they produce is staggering. A single thriving wild colony can store up to 100 kilos of honey in a single summer, enough to fill a small barrel and sustain the hive through the harshest frosts. This honey is not just a sugary reserve, it is a living archive of the forest's bloom, a distillation of millions of blossoms turned into a stable, long-lasting food source. The bees keep the hive warm through the night, huddling around the queen, their collective heat a shield against the biting cold that would otherwise freeze them solid. As the days lengthen, other pollinators join the chorus. Bumblebees, capable of raising their body temperature to 38 degrees Celsius, flutter early in the morning, warming the very flowers they visit. Flies wait until the air reaches 10 degrees, then buzz in, each insect playing its part in the intricate tapestry of forest life. Yet the honeybee remains the late riser, emerging after the sun has lifted the frost, its return a signal that the forest is truly waking. The hidden world inside that woodpecker hole is a microcosm of resilience, cooperation, and quiet conflict. It shows how a species can reinvent itself, how ancient behaviors can survive in modern contexts, and how the fate of a tiny insect is intertwined with the fate of towering trees, bustling birds, and even the humans who rely on pollination for crops. If you believe these silent architects deserve our protection, hit subscribe and share this story. Let's keep the conversation alive and ensure that the secrets of the forest continue to whisper through the leaves for generations to come. The first light of early spring draped itself over the canopy like a thin veil, and the hive inside the woodpecker's cavity began to stir. The queen, already swollen with the promise of new life, released a cascade of pheromones that rippled through the darkness, awakening the sleeping workers. In those quiet moments, a single scout bee slipped out through the narrow tunnel, its wings humming a soft, urgent rhythm. It hovered at the entrance, tasting the cool morning air, then turned and vanished into the forest, guided by an invisible map etched deep within its brain. What drives a bee to remember a route that it has never traveled? The answer lies not in a map drawn on paper, but in a complex language of scent, polarized light, and the subtle tilt of the sun. As the scout disappeared among the ferns, it followed a trail of floral perfume left by generations of foragers, a scented breadcrumb trail that led to the first blooming hazel catkins. When it returned, its tiny legs were heavy with pollen, and its waggled dance painted a vivid picture on the honeycomb floor. The workers watched, their eyes flickering with anticipation, and then surged out in a coordinated wave, each one bearing a tiny sack of golden dust. The forest responded in kind. Hazelnut trees, their branches heavy with catkins, released clouds of pollen that swirled like snow in the gentle breeze. The bees gathered it eagerly, not for the sweetness of nectar, which was still scarce, but for the protein that would sustain the growing brood. In the shadows of the same trees, a family of great spotted woodpeckers tapped rhythmically, carving fresh cavities for the next generation of inhabitants. Their presence was both a blessing and a warning. The birds guarded the entrance with fierce devotion, yet they also provided the perfect shelter for a colony that needed height and protection. But the harmony of this hidden world was fragile. As the days grew longer, a new threat emerged from the forest floor, a tiny mite barely visible to the naked eye, that had hitchhiked on a stray bee from a nearby apiary. It slipped into the brood cells, feeding on the developing larvae and weakening the future workforce. The workers, ever vigilant, began to notice a subtle change in the rhythm of the hive. Some cells were left uncapped, and the queen's egg-laying slowed. The colony's temperature, usually a steady hum of collective warmth, dipped in pockets, as if the hive itself were sighing under an unseen weight. In the midst of this silent battle, a sudden cold snap swept through the valley. Frost clung to the edges of the woodpecker hole, and the stored honey, the lifeblood of the colony, began to crystallize. The bees huddled tighter around the queen, their bodies generating heat through frantic muscle movement. The queen, sensing the danger, emitted a low-frequency buzz that traveled through the wax, urging the workers to consume the honey reserves more quickly. Each bee, driven by instinct and duty, chewed through the thickened honey, releasing warmth that radiated through the comb. The forest, however, held another ally. A family of nuthatches, usually territorial over their own cavities, had taken up residence in a neighboring hole. Observing the frantic activity, one bold nuthatch slipped a small twig into the entrance of the bees' refuge, creating a tiny barrier that slowed the influx of cold air. In return, the bees offered a small share of their honey, a gesture of mutual survival that echoed the ancient symbiosis between insects and birds. This delicate exchange reminded us that even in competition, cooperation can blossom when the stakes are high. As the frost melted and the sun reclaimed its dominance, the hive entered a new phase of growth. The queen, now in the prime of her one-year lifespan, laid thousands of eggs that would soon transform into a bustling workforce. The larvae, swaddled in wax, fed on a mixture of honey and pollen, their bodies expanding with each mouthful. Within a fortnight, they capped their cells, sealing their fate inside a crystal-clear wax shell. The workers, ever the architects, repaired any damage caused by the mite infestation, using fresh wax secreted from their abdomens to reinforce the comb's structure. Meanwhile, a team of researchers, drawn by the whispers of this hidden colony, set up motion-sensitive cameras near the woodpecker hole. Their footage captured moments that few have ever seen. A lone bee emerging at dawn, its silhouette outlined against the amber glow of sunrise, as it performed a precise orientation dance on a leaf. The camera also recorded a sudden flurry of activity when a larger predator, a hornet with a stinger longer than a bee's body, swooped into the cavity, intent on stealing the honey. The workers, undeterred, formed a defensive ball around the queen, their bodies interlocking like a living shield. The hornet, unable to penetrate the tight formation, retreated with a whine of frustration. This encounter sparked a new question in the minds of those watching. How do wild colonies adapt their defenses without the human-crafted hives that provide artificial protection? The answer lay in the collective memory of the bees, an inherited set of responses passed down through countless generations. Each time a threat appeared, the colony's response was calibrated, refined, and stored in the neural pathways of the workers. Over years, this process forged a resilient defense strategy that could shift from a simple heat ball to a coordinated attack, depending on the nature of the enemy. The story of this hive is not just one of survival, it is a narrative of rebirth. In the early 20th century, the original dark honey bee, a subspecies that thrived in the deep, shadowy forests of Central Europe, vanished from the landscape, driven to extinction by disease, habitat loss, and aggressive beekeeping practices. Yet the bees that escaped from managed hives in the mid-20th century carried with them a genetic echo of that ancient lineage. When they discovered the woodpecker cavities, they instinctively adopted the nesting habits of their forebears, as if an unseen hand guided them back to a forgotten way of life. This genetic memory, encoded in the DNA of every worker, manifested as an innate preference for high, narrow cavities and a deep understanding of the seasonal rhythms of the forest. The bees, though far removed from their original ancestors, still sensed the subtle cues of the environment. The temperature gradient within a tree trunk, the scent of sap rising in spring, the low-frequency vibrations of a woodpecker's drumming. These cues acted as a compass, steering the colony toward the resources it needed to thrive. Yet the future remains uncertain. Climate change threatens to alter the timing of flowering, pushing hazel and lime trees to bloom earlier, while severe weather events become more frequent, testing the limits of the bees' winter stores. Human activity continues to thin the old-growth forests, reducing the number of suitable cavities for both woodpeckers and bees. The loss of a single ancient beech could mean the loss of an entire microecosystem, a domino effect that would reverberate through the food web. To protect these hidden architects, we must look beyond the conventional image of a beehive perched on a garden fence. We must cherish the old trees that stand as silent sentinels, the woodpeckers that carve out homes, and the intricate dance of insects that pollinate the understory. Simple actions, such as preserving dead wood, planting native flowering shrubs, and supporting policies that protect mature forests, can make a profound difference. Each act, no matter how small, contributes to a larger tapestry that sustains not only the bees but the entire web of life that depends on them. As the sun set behind the canopy, casting a golden hue over the forest floor, the hive settled into another night of quiet activity. The queen rested deep within the wax, her abdomen gently pulsating with the rhythm of life. The workers, exhausted from a day of foraging and defending, curled together in a warm cluster, their bodies generating a steady heat that kept the brood safe. Outside, the great spotted woodpecker returned to its own cavity, its feathers ruffling in the cool breeze, unaware that its handiwork had become the cradle for a colony that might one day rewrite the story of its species. In the end, the secret of the wild honeybee is not a single fact, but a chorus of interwoven mysteries, a tale of resilience, adaptation, and cooperation that stretches across centuries. It reminds us that even the smallest creature can hold the key to the health of an entire forest, and that the whispers of the past can guide us toward a future where both bees and humans flourish together. If this journey into the hidden world of the forest's buzzing architects has sparked your curiosity, share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of the bee's story surprised you the most? And if you feel moved to help protect these fragile ecosystems, consider planting a native tree or leaving a dead log where nature can take its course. Together, we can ensure that the hum of the wild honeybee continues to echo through the woods for generations to come. Feel free to like, subscribe, and spread the word. The more we tell their story, the stronger their future becomes. Listen to that quiet chorus and remember, every tree left standing, every garden planted with native bloom, writes a new chapter for these hidden architects. If you felt the wonder, give this video a like, tap the subscribe button, and share it with anyone who loves the wild. Your voice can be the next wind that carries pollen to new homes. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the forest's secret keep buzzing.